Have you ever arrived late to work because your train was delayed? Have you ever been stuck in traffic for so long that you felt the journey would never end? Or perhaps you've missed a bus by just a few seconds and watched it drive away while you stood there feeling completely frustrated. If any of that sounds familiar, then today's lesson is for you. Commuting is a huge part of daily life for millions of people around the world. Whether you travel by bus, train, underground, tram, bicycle, or car, being able to talk naturally about your journey in English is an important skill. In today's lesson, we're going to learn useful English vocabulary, common expressions, practical phrases, and natural conversations that native British speakers use when talking about travel, traffic, and public transport. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to describe your daily commute, explain travel problems, talk about delays, discuss different types of transport, and speak much more confidently in everyday conversations. So grab a cup of tea, sit back, relax, and let's improve your English together. Let's begin with a very important word. The word is commute. A commute is the regular journey you make between your home and your workplace, university, or school. For example, my commute takes about 40 minutes every morning. She has a long commute into central London. I don't mind commuting because I enjoy reading on the train. This is a word that native speakers use all the time. Instead of saying, I travel to work every day, you can sound more natural by saying, I commute to work every day. Now, let's look at some common ways people commute. Some people drive to work. Some people take the bus. Others catch a train. Many Londoners use the tube. The tube is London's underground railway system. For example, I usually take the tube to work. The tube was very crowded this morning. I changed lines twice before arriving at my office. Another useful word is rush hour. Rush hour is the busiest period of the day when lots of people are travelling. Usually, this happens between 7 and 9 in the morning and between 5 and 7 in the evening. Examples include, the roads are always busy during rush hour. I try to avoid travelling during rush hour. The train was packed because it was rush hour. When British people say a train is packed, they mean it is extremely crowded. For example, the train was packed this morning, the bus was packed with commuters, the station was packed with people. Now imagine you're on your way to work, everything is going well. Then, suddenly, traffic comes to a complete stop. This brings us to another important phrase, stuck in traffic. If you're stuck in traffic, your vehicle cannot move easily because there are too many cars on the road. Examples, I was stuck in traffic for nearly an hour. We got stuck in traffic on the motorway. Sorry, I'm late. I was stuck in traffic. This is one of the most common excuses people use when arriving late. Another phrase you will hear frequently is running late. For example, the bus is running late. The train is running late. I'm running late for work. Notice that we often use this phrase when something is delayed but still moving. You could send a message saying, sorry, I'm running late. I'll be there in 10 minutes. That's a very natural sentence. Now let's talk about delays. A delay happens when transport does not arrive or leave at the expected time. Examples. There was a delay on my train. The flight was delayed due to bad weather. We experienced significant delays this morning. In the UK, train announcements often sound like this. We apologise for the delay. The service is currently delayed. There are severe delays on this line. If you use public transport regularly, you'll hear these announcements quite often. Now, let's imagine a typical morning in London. You leave home at 8 o'clock, you walk to the station, you tap your travel card, you go through the ticket barriers, You check the departure board. You see your train is delayed. You wait on the platform. The train finally arrives. You get on. You find a seat. You travel for 30 minutes. Then you arrive at your destination. This simple story contains many useful transport words. Let's look at some of them more closely. A platform is the area where passengers wait for trains. Examples. What platform does the train leave from? The train is arriving at platform 3. We waited on the platform for 20 minutes. A departure board is the screen showing train times. Examples. Check the departure board. The departure board shows a delay. The departure board says the train is cancelled, and that leads us to another useful word. Cancelled. Sometimes services are cancelled completely. Examples. My train was cancelled. The bus service was cancelled. Our flight was cancelled because of the weather. If something is cancelled, it won't happen at all. Now, let's move from trains to buses. Many people use buses every day. Here are some useful phrases. I caught the bus. I missed the bus. I got off at the next stop. I changed buses in the city centre. Imagine you're talking to a colleague. They ask, "How was your journey this morning?" You could reply, "Not great. I missed my bus and had to wait 20 minutes for the next one." That's a very natural answer. Another example. The bus was so crowded that I had to stand the whole way. Or, there was heavy traffic, so the journey took much longer than usual. Notice the phrase, heavy traffic. Heavy traffic means there are many vehicles causing slow movement. Examples. There was heavy traffic on the motorway. Heavy traffic caused major delays. We were caught in heavy traffic. Now, let's talk about driving. Many people commute by car. If you drive regularly, these expressions are useful. I drive to work. I take the motorway. I park near my office. The roads were very busy. There was an accident on the motorway. The traffic was terrible. British people often describe traffic as terrible. For example, the traffic was terrible this morning. The traffic was awful yesterday. The roads were completely jammed. A traffic jam is a line of vehicles moving very slowly or not moving at all. Examples. We got stuck in a traffic jam. There was a huge traffic jam. The traffic jam lasted over an hour. Now, let's compare different types of transport. Some people prefer driving, others prefer public transport. A person might say, I prefer taking the train because I can read during the journey. Another person might say, I prefer driving because it's more convenient. Or, the bus is cheaper than driving. The train is faster than the bus. The tube is usually quicker than driving through central London. These comparison structures are very useful in conversation. Let's now imagine a conversation between two colleagues. James says, "Morning, Sarah. How was your commute?" Sarah replies, "It was a nightmare." James says, "Oh no. What happened?" Sarah says, "My train was delayed by 30 minutes, and then there was a problem with the signal system." James says, "That sounds frustrating." Sarah replies, "It was. By the time I got to the office, I was exhausted." Now, let's look at some useful expressions from this conversation. It was a nightmare. This means it was very unpleasant. Examples. The journey was a nightmare. Traffic was a nightmare. Getting home was a nightmare. Another expression is, "That sounds frustrating." You can use this whenever somebody describes a difficult situation. Examples. My flight was delayed for 5 hours. That sounds frustrating. The bus never arrived. That sounds frustrating. Now, let's imagine another real-life situation. You're texting a friend. You write, "Running a bit late. The tube has been delayed." Your friend replies, "No worries, I'll wait." You answer, "Should be there in about 15 minutes. This is exactly the kind of short, natural English that native speakers use every day. Let's now talk about asking for travel information. Suppose you're visiting London. You might ask, "Which platform do I need? What time is the next train? How much is a ticket? Does this bus go to Oxford Street? How long does the journey take? Where can I buy a travel card?" These questions are extremely useful. And here are some possible answers. The next train arrives in 5 minutes. You need platform 6. The journey takes around 20 minutes. You can buy a ticket at the machine. This bus goes directly into the city centre. Now, let's focus on pronunciation. Listen carefully. Commute, rush hour. Traffic. Delay, platform. Journey. Cancelled, motorway. Passenger. Station. Try repeating those words aloud. The more you practice speaking, the more natural they will feel. Now, let's learn some advanced expressions that native speakers often use. The train was packed. The roads were gridlocked. Public transport was disrupted. The service was suspended. Gridlocked means traffic is completely blocked. Disrupted means something interrupted the normal service. Suspended means the service temporarily stopped. Examples. The roads were gridlocked after the accident. Train services were disrupted. The tube line was suspended. These expressions are very common in news reports and transport announcements. Let's now imagine your ideal commute. Perhaps you leave home on time. The weather is beautiful. The roads are clear. The train arrives exactly when expected. You find a comfortable seat. You enjoy a coffee. You read a book, and you arrive relaxed and ready for the day. You could describe that experience like this. My commute was smooth and stress-free. The journey was quick and comfortable. Everything ran on time. These are excellent phrases to remember. Now, let's review some of today's most useful vocabulary. Commute, rush hour, traffic, traffic jam, delayed, running late, platform, station. Journey, motorway. Passenger, public transport, tube. Bus. Train. Cancelled, crowded, packed, gridlocked, disrupted, suspended. Let's use some of them in complete sentences. My commute takes 45 minutes. The roads were gridlocked. My train was delayed. The tube was packed. I missed my bus. There was heavy traffic. The journey was comfortable. Public transport was disrupted. The service was cancelled. Excellent. You now have a wide range of vocabulary and expressions for talking about travel, traffic, and public transport in natural English. The next time someone asks, "How was your journey?" you'll have plenty of ways to answer confidently. You can describe delays. You can explain traffic problems. You can talk about trains, buses, and the tube. And most importantly, you'll sound much more natural when speaking English. Before we finish, here's a challenge for you in the comments. Tell me about your daily commute. How do you travel? How long does it take? And what's the biggest commuting problem in your city? I'd love to read your answers. If you enjoyed this lesson and found it helpful, make sure you subscribe to Zen English Podcast for more practical British English lessons. Keep practicing, keep speaking. And remember, every conversation is another opportunity to improve your English. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson.